All right, so far for this unit, we've learned how to find the slope from looking at a graph. We've learned how to find the slope if I just give you 2 points. So now we're going to take that information that we've learned about slope and use it to do this learning goal right here, which is I can graph lines when given the equation of a line. So if we take a look, some of you have done this before, so it should come pretty quickly for you. Some haven't done it. So as we go through, it's the same as with the other notes. If it's something that you remember, don't need to write them down, but if it's something that is new to you, absolutely need to get out pencil and paper. Go ahead and pause the video now, make sure you have pencil and paper, and then write down the things that I ask you to write down as we go through this. So if we look, we've got our equation for a line, y equals mx plus b. It's our generic equation for a linear equation for a straight line. Anytime you're going to have a straight line, it's going to usually be in this form. It's known as the slope-intercept form because it shows you what your slope and your y-intercept is. Now, we've talked about slope, so you should know what that is. That's how our line is going to change. How's it going to go either up or down, and then how's it going to change to the right? B is something new. It's the y-intercept. So if we take a look, and then just the x and the y is just a placeholder for if you want to substitute in different points to figure out what they would equal. So if we take a look, y-intercept's pretty easy. The y-intercept is just the spot where a line crosses the y-axis. So you might want to pause video, write down what's in this box. Y equals mx plus b. M is always going to be the slope. So whatever number is here, because remember we said M always represents slope. So whatever number is next to your x is going to tell us how is our line going to change. How's it going to move? And then whatever number is by itself, whatever number is the constant, whether it's adding or subtracting a positive or a negative number, that's your y-intercept. And your y-intercept is the spot where it crosses the y-axis. So if you look at your equation, you just say, okay, well, what's this number? That's where it crosses. If the y-intercept was 3, you would go on the y-axis to positive 3, put a dot. The line is going to cross through there somewhere. Somewhere, if you have a line, it's going to cross at that point if we know the y-intercept is 3. So hopefully pause the video and write that down if you need it. And then we'll move on to looking at some examples. Once you get a look at a few of them, then it ends up being pretty easy. So if we look at this, we have the equation y equals 3x plus 2. What is our slope? We know the slope is always the number that's attached to the x. All right. So if we look at our x, we have a 3 in front of it, so the slope is 3. And then anytime you have a whole number as a slope, go ahead and just put it over 1. So our slope is 3 over 1. So what does that mean? Well, from the last couple units, or not units, but the last couple videos, you should know that the slope tells us how it's going to move. So this line is going to do what? It's going to go, it's positive, so it's going to go up 3, right 1. That's how the line's going to move. Up 3, right 1. Up 3, right 1. The y-intercept, what do we have in the back? We have a plus 2, so it's going to cross the y-axis at a positive 2. So to graph that, you just go over to your graph and you say, okay, here's the y-axis. It crosses at positive 2. So there's positive 2. Put your dot. And then how's it going to move? The slope is positive 3 over 1. So it's going to go up 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. So there's your 2 points. Crosses at 2. Slope is 3. So that's 3 over 1. So up 3. So if you're here, you count. Don't count where you start. Don't count until you move. So you would go 1, 2, 3 over 1. And then you could draw your line right there. And you always want to draw your line. You wouldn't just connect the 2 dots. It's a line. Lines go on forever in both directions. So you want to make sure your line goes all the way across your graph from touching where it goes out of the top of the graph all the way through all the way to the bottom of the graph. All right, so if you were doing this, you could really just stop it right there, and then you would draw, because it's a line, so it goes on forever. So then you would draw your arrows on the end. All right, let's look at another one. If I've got y equals negative 2x plus 4, what's the slope? Well, what's in front of the x? A negative 2. So then we're always going to, if it's just a regular integer, if it's a whole number, you're just going to put it over 1. What's the y-intercept? Positive 4. So you come over to your graph. Where's it going to cross? It's going to cross at positive 4. How's it going to move? It's negative 2 over 1. So you're going to go down, because it's negative, down 2, right 1. And you always go to the right. So down 2, right 1. Then you would draw your line. There you go. Because then you could look and see, okay, down 2 over 1, down 2, switch this, over 1, down 2 over 1. So your line follows that slope pattern all the way across, down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. It just continues to follow whatever the slope is. But when you're doing the problem, you only need to make 2 dots, draw your line, and that's good. Now, if we're doing this on like once we have our assignments, if it's a one where you're going to graph it on paper, please use a ruler, use the edge of a book, use something that you can make a straight line with. Really important that you have straight lines when you're doing these. Some people turned in their assignment last week, and the ones that did the wrong page on the amusement park, some of them graphed the lines and put their points in the right spot, but it's kind of hard to tell where your line's going if it's not a straight line. So make sure if you're doing it on paper, draw a straight line. And then if you are doing it on the computer, you can use, just like I did, use something to make the straight line. All right, let's look at the next one. Y equals 2/3 x minus 3. So what's the slope? What's attached to the x? 2/3. So we don't need to put over 1 this time because we have a fraction. So our slope's going to go up 2 over 3. And then what's the y-intercept? It's minus 3. So the y-intercept is negative 3. So if it's minus the number at the end, that makes your y-intercept crossing at the negative 3. So if on the y-axis, cross at negative 3, put our dot. How's it going to move? It's going to move, it's positive, so up 2 over 3. Up 2 over 3. And then you would draw your line. All right, pretty simple. There's a couple that are special ones that we'll get to here in a minute. Here's a good one that looks different. Y equals 1/4 x. So what's the slope? What's in front of the x? 1/4. But then we look at it and say, okay, what's the y-intercept? Well, there's no number there. Well, if there's no number there, it probably was what? It'd be like having plus 0, but you wouldn't write that in the equation. You would just leave it blank. So if you don't see the y-intercept, if there's no number there, that means the y-intercept is 0. So you cross right at the origin at 0. So the y-intercept 0, dot at 0. How's it move? Slope is 1 over 4. So up 1 over 4. Up 1 over 4. And then let's say, here's another trick. If you wanted to make your line, make sure it lined up perfectly, it goes up 1, right 4. So you can do the opposite to get a point on the other side. You could say, okay, I know I can go up 1 over 4, but I could also go backwards. Instead of up 1, right 4, I could go down 1, left 4, just to continue that pattern over there. If you want to see, okay, now I can make sure my line lines up and make a better line. All right, so that's just a little trick you could use, but remember, you don't need to do that. You just y-intercepts at 0, go up 1 over 4. There's my 2 dots. Draw your line, and this is exactly how your your IXL assignment's going to work. You're going to have some other assignments to do, but that's the first one you're going to do. And it's just going to be just like this, where all you need to do is put the y-intercept, use the slope to move. All right, this one, y-intercept is 1, slope is -1/3, so down 1/3, and then you would draw your line. All right, y'all should be kind of getting this pretty good right now. So we go through and get to, let's look at this one, a little different. Let's see. Somebody's calling, but I'm doing the video right now, so we'll just let them wait. All right, so if we look, the y-intercept is -3, so we're going to go down to -3. And then the slope is well, there's nothing there. There's nothing in front of your x. So if you don't have anything in front of your x, that means it's a 1. So your slope is just 1. So you would write 1/1. So you'd go up 1, over 1. There's your dot. Draw your line. All right, so if there's no number in front of the x, it just means the slope is 1. All right. Move on to our next one. Good. Okay. Now we're at the ones that usually trick students the most. They're the two special ones are horizontal and our vertical line. So if you have y equals 4, all right, there's no x. If you have a missing, anytime you look and either the y is missing or the x is missing, you know that's going to be one of our special ones where it's either going to make a completely flat horizontal line or a completely vertical line. Straight up and down. So if we look, all you do is go, okay, y equals 4. So I'm going to put a dot at 4 on the y. So y-axis, I'm going to go to the 4, put a dot. And then the way it works is pretty simple. You just draw your line. If it's y equals, it makes a horizontal. Ooh, that's going to be ugly. Let me go back and just use this tool. If it's y equals a number, it's going to be a horizontal line completely sideways. So y equals 4 makes a horizontal line. If it was y equals 1, it would be a line that crosses at 1 on the y-axis. If it was y equals 0, it would be a horizontal line that crosses at 0 on the y-axis. If it was y equals -4, it would be a line that crosses at -4 on the y-axis. So if you have just a plain y equals a number, it makes a horizontal line. All right, so let's take a look at our next one. X equals 2, same thing, works the same way. If it's x equals 2, you go to 2 on the x-axis and put a dot. 2 on the x-axis, put a dot. And then this time, instead of a horizontal line, if it's x equals a number always makes a vertical line. So that's something you should probably write down. Make sure you have that. Make sure you remember it. If it's y equals a number, horizontal line. If it's x equals a number, vertical line. So if this was x equals 0, you go to 0, put a dot, vertical line at 0. If it was x equals -3, go to -3, put a dot, vertical line at -3. All right. And when you're doing your IXL, the way that would work, let's say you had this x equals 2, you would put your dot at 2, and then in order to make a vertical line, you put your other dot anywhere you want. You would put a dot, you could put it here, and it would make a vertical line. Or you could put the other dot down here. So on IXL, you're just going to put a dot at 2, and then another dot anywhere else to make it vertical. All right. You're not going to do, let me X out of that. You're not going to do that assignment. So you're going to be doing, switch over to our IXL. You're going to be doing Algebra 1. So you're going to go to Algebra 1 instead of 8th grade. Algebra 1 S7, which is slope-intercept form, graph an equation. So here would be your graph. You would have, here's your equation. So what is the y-intercept? It's -9. So it's going to cross at -9. You can just put your dot, and you can see wherever you put the other dot, it's going to make the line. Look in front of the x, what's the slope? It's negative, so I'm going to go down 1, right 10. Down 1, right 10. So down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, dot. And then it makes the line submit. Look at this one. What's the y-intercept? Put a dot at positive 6. It's plus 6. So go up to 6, put a dot. How's it move? Negative. So we're going to go down. Down 1 over 2. Down 1 over 2. And always go to the right. So if it's positive, go up. If it's negative, go down. And then always go to the right. So crossed at 6, down 1 over 2. All right, if we look at this one, where is it going to cross? Positive 4. What's the slope? Negative 1 over 4. So down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, be careful, because if somebody is going to make a mistake, usually that mistake is they look at that and they put a dot at 4, and then they go down 1, and when they go to count, they go 1, 2, 3, 4. And then they would miss it because they only move 3. Don't count where you start. So down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4. So if you have any questions, you can email me, let me know. Your assignment is on Monday to watch this video, which means you'll have your assignment Tuesday to do, which means we also have a Google Meet Tuesday if you want to get on that Google Meet and ask questions. I'm here to help you. So you just let me know what you need. All right. Thanks for watching. Good job.